Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name's Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And on today's show, we talk about the Ultron trailer, Agent Carter's third episode, Fantastic Four, Netflix, and much more. So, just to start off, if you haven't listened to our first podcast, plug time, go back and listen to our first podcast. I just got an update for that last week. Mike talked about The Jungle Book, right?
Yes, that was one of my least anticipated movies for this year.
Yeah, and just to update you on that, it actually has moved to 2016.
Okay, so now it can be my least anticipated movie of 2016.
Exactly. One less thing you have to worry about. So we just want to give you guys that update from last week. Like we said, we're here to cover, news and stuff. So
I wonder if it was like production issues or what was the deal there.
They probably heard our podcast, and was like,
they're like, oh shit, we got to move this.
Yeah. Okay. It's on the worst of 2015. Let's move it to 2016 so they can't talk bad about it.
Yeah. There's nothing they can do now.
They'll look like idiots.
Psh, whatever. We'll be back around next year for you.
That's right. We're gunning for you. We're gunning for you, Jungle Book. So, as most of you know, we got a new Avengers trailer this week.
Yes, we did. Brand new.
Yeah. It came out Monday night, so, it was kind of part of last week's string of great news.
Yeah, this was during a sports ball game, right? Some sort of game with a ball.
Yeah. NCAA championship game. I think it's football.
Yeah.
Football.
Okay.
For the uninitiated, such as ourselves. So it was on ESPN, which kind of blew my mind. I don't know about you. Do you get ESPN?
Well,
no, you're a cable cutter.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways I could probably get it, but it is pretty surprising that they're gonna take something as big as an Ultron trailer and display it for, I don't want to say like not the crowd they're looking for, but I mean like this typically isn't the people that they reach out for.
Yeah, I tell you what, I would have expected this, kind of news for like a Super Bowl trailer, right?
Yeah,
Super Bowl, that's the big sports ball game of the year.
Yeah, that's something it doesn't really matter because everyone watches that, even if they're not,
Yeah, and this is college football. I mean, sure, it's a championship game, but it's no Super Bowl. And honestly, ESPN you have to pay for, right?
Yeah, you do. You have to have some sort of cable.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have cable. I'm a cord cutter as well. I get local channels on my TV. But it was kind of surprising, like comic book movies are so mainstream now, they'll put them on sports channels.
Yeah, that's huge, but it's really good to know that like this stuff is supported by more than just us now. Like we don't necessarily have to worry about going grassroots to get something made. They know that they can make tons of money, so they're just gonna keep pumping them out.
Yeah, no, totally. That's awesome. So let's talk about this trailer, Mike. You saw it. I posted it pretty quick after it went live on Comic UI. Another plug. What do you think of it? Tell me how you reacted to this second trailer.
Well, right now they're basically preaching to the choir. I was gonna see this movie the second that I saw the first Avengers movie. Like I'm gonna see whatever else they make. But so the only thing I could really point out is they're really still working on this movie, that you can kind of tell, because some of the CG scenes just don't seem quite as tight. You can kind of tell that there's still some polish to be done. But the thing that was probably the coolest part about, and I'd love to hear your analysis of it, there's so many tidbits in this. There's so many little secrets, little things that we can expect to see in the movie now.
And definitely, before we jump over that, you talked about the CG not being finished. Can you tell me what CG you saw? Like what specific section of it?
I'm trying to remember.
I hate to be nitpicky. I'm just curious.
No, I remember there was a specific scene where we get a close up of the Hulk at one point in time. But the thing is, this is just nitpicky. I really don't care, and most people probably don't care because they there's like, oh yeah, Avengers trailer. I don't really care what it looks like. But yeah. It's good to know that they're probably still working on it, though. That just means they're really just putting their best into it. It's kind of cool, though, knowing that they're trying as hard as they can to bring out the biggest, best trailer that they can, even if they're not 100% sure if maybe the scene's not fully polished yet.
You know what I'm most surprised with on this is all the new footage.
Oh yeah, there was hardly anything reused.
Exactly. Like there's like a couple quick shots that are reused, but honestly, to bring two trailers with two completely sets of footage is awesome for everyone involved.
But it still kind of has that same vibe to me. You know, they're not bringing in really any humor yet. The only humor we've seen is that extended trailer scene where they're all trying to pick up Thor's hammer. So we're still getting that really dark vibe. You know, we can really tell that Phase 3 is just going to start off just pretty brutal.
Yeah, and that's true. That's what I was going to say. Like, you know, everyone was like, "Oh, Ant-Man's not funny," you know, and then Marvel's always. This is the biggest complaint I hear online is Marvel's known for their humor. They're not serious. They're not dark enough. Well, then Ant-Man trailer came out like, well, it wasn't funny enough. But then we get an Ultron trailer, and everyone's like, oh, that's awesome, even though it's very similar to the Ant-Man trailer. It almost feels like there's no hope for anybody in this. I mean, it's, as Ultron said, I'm going to tear you apart.
Yeah, well, I think it's just good for people to know, if you're not too familiar with Ultron, like, this guy, he's not just some, like, robot, he's not just going to get smashed with a hammer, and, he's a big deal. Like, he is one of the biggest villains in the Avengers lineup. This guy's not to mess with.
Exactly, and even then, as a robot who, like, the biggest thing in the comics is every time they fight him, he's always improving himself, upgrading, becoming stronger, and it's just, I think it's going to be really, really good to see him on screen.
I mean, they're truly going to be fighting a villain with no humanity, so it's going to be dark.
Exactly, and no. I would say, like, Loki was great. I love Loki. But, like, he had a thing for the theatrics.
Yeah.
Ultron doesn't seem very theatrical.
Yeah, that's true.
He seems cold and calculating and precise. But, something about this trailer, it feels like Marvel's growing up as we get into Phase 3, which, we could see as maybe the third act of Marvel's story, right? The first act is kind of them playing with the characters, giving us humor and story. The second act, all over the place. It had serious, in Captain America. It had funny in Guardians of the Galaxy. And now I think they're growing up. I think they're just maturing a little bit as we go. And that's all right in my book. I'm not complaining.
Oh, yeah.
I just think, they're not resting their laurels in one place. They're not like, this isn't what we're going to be known for.
Yeah, and rest assured, no one needs to worry about any of this getting to the depths of, like, the darkness of, like, a Dark Knight or something like that. That was Christopher Nolan's imagination of it. And we're getting the dark trailer now, but there's still going to be plenty of quipping. I mean, that's what Joss Whedon is known for. So there's no way he's going to write something that's just going to make you depressed.
And like you said, as we saw in the first trailer where they're trying to pick up Thor's hammer, that's a good time.
And that's just one thing that people are not going to have to worry about is Joss Whedon is not the type of person who's going to make this brooding movie. He's a director that can really wrangle a cast together, and it's just going to be there's going to be parts where we're all going to laugh. There's going to be parts where we're going to be cheering. I'm definitely looking forward to the points in the movie where I just want to get up off of my chair and just, like, start hooping and hollering, not caring about the person who's sitting behind me. But hopefully, if you're the type of person that goes to, like, the very first showing available in your town, hopefully the person behind you will be standing up and hollering too.
Oh my gosh, that'll be so exciting. So like you were talking about, I went through this trailer. I've seen this trailer more times than I would like to admit. Even before we jumped on here, and there's a couple things, like you said, tidbits I picked up here. Are you ready for them?
Oh, bring it on.
Okay, so the first thing is the Hulk, right? Fighting the Hulkbuster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've watched this several times, and I now know at the beginning of the trailer we see Bruce Banner with the green eyes, right? The green eyes are harken back to The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, which harken back to even farther The Incredible Hulk TV show with Bill Bixby in the 80s there. So, when he gets green eyes, what's he doing? Turning into the Hulk.
Transforming.
Exactly. And so at the end of the trailer, we see the Hulk with red eyes. And I honestly think that there's some sort of, I wouldn't say exactly mind control from the Scarlet Witch, but perhaps some sort of, a rage spell. Maybe like a savage Hulk.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. We were kind of set up at the very end of the Winter Soldier that Hydra, or at least not Hydra, some evil entity has control of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. So it's not like this movie's going to start and they're instantly going to be in the Avengers or on their side. So there's definitely going to be some back and forth there. So it would make sense. I mean, if you have a character that's basically a witch, she can control people.
Exactly, and again, I don't think it's control. I think it's just blind rage, because I don't think she'll have her powers honed in to do controlling just yet. But her abilities are definitely red. We see that from the trailer.
Yeah, and her name is Scarlet. So
yeah, obviously, I think there's a connection there, and they definitely give us the green eyes in the beginning to show us the red eyes at the end. Okay. All right, next up, a young Black Widow appears.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I didn't pick this up at all. It must have been very quick.
Yeah, okay, so it shows, it actually has Scarlet Witch saying, I forget the exact line, but, we can't all save the world or something like that. But it shows her with bangs. If you pause the frame, it's Scarlett Johansson with bangs. And then someone instantly puts her face on her and throws her down onto an operating table. Now, if we go back to the first trailer, there's a scene with ballerinas.
Okay.
I think, Black Widow, she's very agile. She's quick. She's stealthy. She's an assassin, right? I think this is a flashback to whenever she first becomes an assassin.
That's a pretty good theory. It would make sense to kind of flush out her backstory a little bit more, because she's going to be appearing in more of these movies. She's going to be. There's been rumors of her own movie, so it would make sense to start fleshing her out a little bit.
Yeah, and even if not, I mean, Joss Whedon has a thing for building out characters as they go. And now's a good chance to delve into what makes the Avengers tick, each one of them. And Ultron's going to pick up on that.
Yeah. For sure.
So, all right. One scene, I don't know if you guys noticed, it looked like Thor was getting electrocuted.
Oh, yeah. I definitely picked that one up.
And to me, honestly, normally his power comes from his hammer, right? I've never seen him channel it through his body. So that's why I think it was him being attacked or his power being taken from him, rather than actually, him attacking somebody else.
Yeah,
what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, getting reflected back at him. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Ultron is going to have tons of tricks in his bag, so we'll probably see a lot of different things like that going on. I mean, that can segue perfectly into the next topic. Is Ultron has some sort of crazy red lightning at some point?
Yeah, exactly. You see, he's got his fist and then he shoots it out of his hand like Force lightning, right? Like he's like some Sith Lord, and that would be the best total crossover ever. But that's the thing about Ultron. You talked about, he's been an Avengers villain for years, and he always upgrades his body, but he also upgrades it based on the last attack, last time. So maybe his, pre-body we see in the trailer when he says, in the flesh, he's got that janky little broken down body, right? So what if Thor hits him with a hammer and kills him, as Thor always does with the lightning?
Yeah.
So next time he would have the ability to know, okay, this is what Thor's ability is based on. This is how we can, like you said, deflect it back.
Yeah,
at him, maybe.
Yeah. Let's adapt, reflect,
and then add that to his own arsenal.
And it's the first time in the clips that we've seen that we kind of see Ultron in action. He's just been standing there.
Yeah, any good manager lets everyone else do the work, right? What's that called? I should know this. This is why I'm not a manager, right?
I don't know.
Delegation. That's what it is.
We're not business type people.
No, not at all. And lastly, the biggest thing. This is the most talked about thing on the trailer, right? There's some woman getting naked in a cave.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to pique my interest if I'm someone watching ESPN.
Definitely. She's in a cave. It looks like it's water. She's near a pool of water because, when you take clothes off to get into water, right? But she appears to be dressed in, maybe some African garments and to be of African descent.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe that's kind of matching up with some of the set photos that we've seen like way back when they first started production with like that big giant prop like Hulk fist and little bits of them in Africa.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely been filming in South Africa. We think Ultron eventually gets a vibranium shell, which is the metal Captain America's shield's made out of, right? Indestructible. That comes from the nation of Wakanda. Wakanda is home of the Black Panther, who is getting his own movie and appearing in Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to just kind of set all this up now.
It does, but here's my next thing. If you go back and watch the first trailer again, Thor looks like he burst out of water in a pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like
he ain't got no shirt on.
He ain't got no shirt on either. So, is this some sort of Asgardian thing, or is it some sort of Wakanda thing? I don't know at this point. Definitely interested to see where that goes. That's probably the biggest thing. Like, the biggest new clip they showed us was, who is this person and what is she doing?
Yeah, it really kind of makes you wonder where they're gonna center this movie. Like, is this gonna be pretty centered in New York still? Like, obviously they're going to be in South Africa, but how much of this movie is actually going to be there? Are they going to be globe like trotting? Are they going to be going from like city to city, like trying to catch up or chase these like Ultron clones or disciples or whatever? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. Avengers is awesome, but what they don't show us, and this is, I'm going to harp on this a little bit. They don't give us the Vision. Okay, played by Paul Bettany. We know he's coming. He's in all the promotional artwork. Hopefully he's in the Avengers going forward. They don't show us hardly any Quicksilver or any Scarlet Witch. We've seen more Scarlet Witch, right? But no Quicksilver.
Now, do you think it's just a factor of a movie with so many characters? How do we possibly introduce people to them?
I don't think so. I think that's a job for the movie to do, but the trailers are to sell tickets.
Yeah, and also, this is the second full-length trailer. There's really not going to be too many real staple landmark trailers left. There might be one more big trailer, and then after that, it's going to be like TV spots, like maybe extended clips, but we might only have one trailer left.
I expect one more trailer, and I'm hoping Super Bowl.
That would be a good guess.
If not, they'll release it near Daredevil's release date, although I think that's way too soon or way too close to actual May 1st.
Oh, yeah, definitely too close. I mean, I think what people need to know out there about me is that I really try to disassociate myself with a lot of the marketing and media of a movie before it comes out because I don't want to get too saturated. I've noticed that I'm way too impressionable when it comes to things. So I try to totally avoid reviews 100%. Like, even if someone just like went and saw the movie and they want to tell me what they thought, I'm like, no, don't tell me yet. Wait until I go see it. It's the same thing with trailers. I don't want to get all the good stuff. One of the coolest scenes in The Winter Soldier was the elevator scene. That fight scene was so cool. It was so awesome. It was directed so well. But I believe if you went and saw, what was it, a Marvel movie where they showed that whole scene like as a trailer?
No, it wasn't Thor. No, I think it went before Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah. So, like, that scene was awesome, but, like, it was kind of like Marvel blowing their load too soon. Like, I'd much rather have seen that for the first time in the movie. I mean, it was out of context, so I didn't really know what was going on. But, so if there's one more trailer coming, I'll watch it. I'll probably watch it, like, only one or two times, as opposed to a lot of people out there who would, are going to watch it dozens and dozens of times. Like, I just want to go in there as fresh as possible. They don't need to market to me anymore. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
And definitely that's something, we should, I want people to know about this podcast. We may cover the next trailer, full-length trailer only, but we're not going to talk about TV spots. I don't watch TV spots. They give away too much of the movie anyway.
Yeah, we don't we don't need to mess with any of that.
Exactly. And if you want rumors, you can head over to Comic UI or nerdtraffic.com and get them there. But we're not going to talk about them on the podcast to respect Mike's, good decision. And
yeah, don't spoil the movie for me, people. Jesus.
Yeah, don't spoil his movie, dog. So other than that, if we'll just talk about the next full-length trailer, and that's it. So
yeah.
Just to lay that out on the line.
Yeah, but, I'd say go check it out, see if you like it. It really shouldn't be the deciding factor if you're going to see this movie. Because if you're listening to a podcast about superheroes, you're already seeing this movie.
Yeah, exactly. So great. So the next day, Marvel decided to lay on Episode 3 of Agent Carter.
Yes, I think we should touch on this a little bit. Obviously, we won't talk about every episode this season, but, we got a little bit more information in this season, and we got a little bit more info for maybe how the rest of the season will go.
Yeah, definitely. There's only 5 episodes left. We're almost halfway through next week, which is mind-blowing.
That's true.
And on top of that, I just want to talk about what ruined my week. Agent Carter, I would turn in at 9 o'clock on ABC, right? Mm-hmm. And now ABC's showing the AAC basketball game. It's not a championship game, I don't think. It's not March Madness. So why was Agent Carter not on? And then when I said, like, okay, then they placed something on the bottom, like, oh, Agent Carter's been moved to Sunday. I'm not gonna wait 5 days to watch Agent Carter.
Yeah, we're trying to run a media outlet here. We can't be messing with all that.
Yeah, so honestly, like, I was kind of upset by this, and I had to resort to
other means
to watch this episode, and it kind of sucked. I had to wait today. Like, I want to watch it. I want to help the ratings. I want to get ratings up. So I couldn't help it.
Yeah, which I mean is a good thing to point out. I noticed there was an article out this week where ABC isn't exactly too happy with the ratings they've been getting for these first 3 episodes. Obviously, the DVR numbers are still not in yet, but if you noticed, I don't know exactly why they moved it, but one of their biggest shows, ABC, is Shark Tank, and that always comes out on Fridays. And I noticed for their 3rd episode, they put Shark Tank right in front of the 3rd episode of Agent Carter. I don't know if they're trying to get more people into this. I don't know how worried they are, but I really, really hope this is an issue because I think this show is rock solid.
Yeah, I'm going to ask, what makes you think NBC was disappointed? Now, was it something saying like, oh, these numbers are low compared to other shows, or was it saying something from NBC saying, hey, we're upset?
Well, I think you mean ABC, but
or ABC, I apologize.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's just the bureaucracy, just the executives and the management type. I think they are just kind of expecting to draw in a bigger crowd. I think sometimes you gotta look at the type of people that are watching TV. Sometimes there are people that just don't understand what's going on. They're just like, oh, I used to watch that one show that kind of had people from the Avengers in it. Why isn't it on this week? Oh, I'm getting this other show with some people from the 50s. I don't want to watch this. I don't know what this is. So I think there's just a fickle amount of people out there, but also it just comes down to people don't want to just tune in at a time anymore. They want it on demand. They want it whenever they want.
Yeah, and here's something, I'm just to throw it out there, DVR ratings and on streaming ratings definitely don't get factored in day of. Mm-hmm. And so when those news reports come out the day of, they're like, oh, this got a 1.7. Mm-hmm. But if you wait a week, the DVR ratings come in, mm-hmm. and it becomes a 3.0 show, which is actually above most markets.
Yeah.
You just got to be wary of those news articles.
Yeah, but it does kind of put some people on edge, so if you happen to come across any of that news, don't be too worried. But, if you want to be on the safe side, just tell your friends about the show. It's a good show. I mean, there's only going to be 8 episodes this season, so even if for some reason episode 7 has already aired and you're just getting around to telling them, I mean, people binge watch stuff all the time. They can definitely catch up in time.
Yeah, and I think Marvel can weather mediocre ratings. Mm-hmm. For several seasons if they're telling an overarching story that plays into their bigger universe, because mm-hmm. they're owned by Disney, and what does Disney have?
Lots of freaking money.
Lots of money. And I think they could weather a couple 8-episode seasons if they wanted to, if they needed to tell this Marvel story. Mm-hmm. I don't think they need to, but I think it'll be great that they do.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of money, it'll be really interesting when Phase 3 finally ends in the near future. Someone should tally up all of the box office revenue for the globally, not like DVD sales or anything, but just get those box office numbers. I mean, it's going to be in the billions. I mean, billions of dollars. It's going to be crazy.
I mean, it already is.
I know.
It's going to be even more billions.
Yeah, just. I mean, it makes you wonder if they're going to recoup their investment that quickly when it comes to buying Marvel.
Probably so.
Or maybe they'll just recoup their Star Wars through Marvel.
Maybe they'll just buy Sony and get Spider-Man back, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
A little bit about the episode. Before we jump ship here, we learned a lot about Jarvis's backstory. Mm-hmm. I love Jarvis in the show.
Oh yeah.
He is awesome. He is the great foil for Peggy Carter's agent. Mm-hmm. And you learned a lot about his backstory, and I think that builds him into a better character and even gives greater credibility to the AI we see in the movies later.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be really interested to see what happens to Jarvis too, because we all know what happens to Peggy Carter. She doesn't die. You know, her life might be in danger, but we know she shows up in Captain America. So I'll be interested to see, what happens to Jarvis. They're roughly, would you say they're about the same age in the show?
I would say they look about it.
Yeah.
They were both in the war, so I'd assume so.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see what happens to Jarvis.
Yeah, and lastly, there was a hitman there at the end of the show. Like, each episode will leave you with a cliffhanger to come back next week. And there was a hitman, and he looked familiar.
Oh yeah.
He kind of looked like I want to say he looked like one of the agents in the workforce or as a task force.
Well, I mean, we didn't really see too much of him. It was just kind of like a trench coat and a hat. So
who knows with that? I'm excited to see who this is and how he plays into the Leviathan.
Well, my wife brought up her theory was that possibly maybe the person in the trench coat was Jarvis, but I don't know if he really had enough time to get from finding Howard Stark's stuff to possibly tailing that guy, if they split up or if they didn't split up. But hey, it's an idea. Maybe it's Jarvis going around murking people.
Yeah, it could be. I don't think he has it in him to kill, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll see.
We shall see. So bringing up the next Marvel movie for this year, Fantastic Four. We talked a little bit about it last week, right?
Yeah, and I'm interested to hear more.
Yeah, definitely. There was an image leaked online by some supposed, rough cut editor, which is a thing in Hollywood where you make a rough cut before they go in and polish it and give it all the stuff. Posted a logo which looks like it was made in Microsoft Word with word art.
Yeah.
It's got, I can't even tell what font that is. It's a very basic sans serif font that has white at the top and fades into blue.
Yeah, it's just a little gradient. I mean, I could probably look it up in Photoshop in my font library. But yeah, it's really not that great. Hopefully, it's not the final font.
What is really disconcerting about this image is it's in a Windows movie player. Who uses Windows Media Player in the professional film industry to show clips?
I don't know. I want to see that little orange traffic cone from VLC. That's where I go.
Yeah, VLC. I mean, I would respect it if it was a Mac. Quick player. Like, at least pick a good media player if you want to fake an image. So I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's not. But this is the only thing we've pretty much seen for the film.
Yeah, but it looks like the logo I don't know if it's over the globe or if it's over some sort of snowy tundra. It's kind of hard to tell.
It looks like it curves like a moon.
Oh yeah, that could be possible. Maybe there's some sort of moon.
Maybe it alludes to Galactus coming. I don't know. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Since they already know Fantastic Four 2's coming out, they could definitely put a teaser for the second one at the end of it.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, this is a sign. This is a sign that we might get a trailer.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I've heard from a good source, Simon Kinberg, the producer of the film, that the first trailer is coming with Kingsman: The Secret Service, one of my top 5 films of the year.
Oh, well, that would be a good place to put it because I want to go see that movie.
Now here's what's gonna blow my mind again. Kingsman, it looks awesome. I sent you a clip this week, right?
Oh yeah, that was rad.
Oh my gosh, Matthew Vaughn's the action in this, the humor, the gore, it's awesome. It's R-rated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would encourage everyone to go out and look at this clip. I don't think I've ever seen action directed this way before. It's got some sort of weird motion just changing of the camera. I don't really know how to describe it, but it just seems really, really rad.
Honestly, I would put it if Wes Anderson did faster, erratic movements. But it's really sweet. It's on Apple iTunes trailers, so that clip is there as well.
Oh,
so you can go over to Apple trailers and see that clip.
Yeah. So when does that movie come out again?
February 13th. So it's a great Valentine's Day movie. It's R-rated. That's what's my next point is. Why would they show a trailer for a family-friendly Fantastic Four movie before an R-rated film?
Well, I don't know. I think, honestly, it gets to a point where I don't think it really matters anymore where the trailer premieres in front of, because, I mean, if the Fantastic Four movie trailer is going to be coming in front of Kingsman, possibly a Thursday night or that Friday, we're going to get the trailer on Tuesday anyway.
And that's us, though, but I'm just getting, a common core audience. A lot of the Fantastic Four movies, the original two, were very kid-friendly, very family-driven films, because the Fantastic Four is a family in the comic books, and that's, what makes them different. They're essentially the Incredibles ripped off Fantastic Four, but they did it better. It's just, if they want families to go see this, to premiere the trailer before there is interesting, but it also might be a test bed to see how people react.
Yeah, I don't really think they care about the families, but it is kind of weird, premiering a trailer in front of a rated R movie, a movie that people don't already know a lot about. It's kind of gives a little bit more motion to the dangerous waves of this movie. Who knows? This could be. It's kind of it's a little too soon to start judging it, but we haven't had really any good news yet, so it really makes me nervous.
I would say it's not too soon to judge it. It's a good time to be worried about it if they're not showing us anything yet. I've heard of studios under marketing films, and that never worked out. John Carter of Mars. I kind of enjoyed the film. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad, but they under marketed that to no extent, and I think this might suffer from that if they don't hurry up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fantastic Four coming out August 7th or so of this year. So stay tuned for that trailer. We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, I got some news for you this week. It's just a little inside scoop. So like I said, maybe I said it possibly the last episode, but my wife works in the industry a little bit, and she was out on basically a lunch meeting, and she ran into two people that actually work on the Marvel Entertainment side. One person was I think it was a sound mixer for Ultron. And another one was a guy who was editing the Daredevil show. So
no way.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. She buried the lead. Like, I didn't hear about it all day. Like, we're getting ready for bed, and she was just like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I met two people today," and blah 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 blah. And I was like, "What?" So, and then I started freaking out, and I was like, "What are their names? What can you tell me about them?" But
so what did you find out?
Well, basically, they just kind of had a little casual conversation. So what we can take away from it is that the editor for one of the editors for the Daredevil series is saying that this show is going to be pretty dark. He says that this isn't exactly going to be kid friendly. He says there's going to be blood. He says it's going to be brutal. I believe the two words that she could remember off the top of the head from the conversation was bloody and brutal. So that's good news. I mean, that's coming straight from someone who's editing this show.
That kind of goes along with what Steven DeKnight, the showrunner, said. It's PG-15-ish. It's not quite R. I mean, it sounds like it might be, but I mean, it's not quite PG-13 either. So that kind of lines up with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think that's good news. It's just another drop in the bucket for me wanting to go see this. Well, I guess I don't have to go anywhere, actually. It's going to be right in front of my couch.
It's going to be April 10th of this year, less than 3 months away. Can't believe it.
Oh, it's creeping.
So excited.
It's creeping up. Yeah, totally excited. But yeah, I thought I'd update you a little bit on that. Most of the time, you're bringing me all the news and blowing my mind with all the crazy stuff going on this week. So I was like, I got a little bit. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's not the only Netflix update we have this week.
All right, well, let's go into the other ones then.
Okay, so we all know Marvel signed up for 4 Netflix shows and a series, and a culmination series.
Yeah.
Netflix has confirmed A.K.A. Jessica Jones, the next series, starring Kristen Ritter. You might know her as the Bee in Apartment 23.
Or she was in the last season of Gilmore Girls, and I can tell you that because I marathon Gilmore Girls with my wife the entire holiday break. And I was just like, oh, hey, look at that. That's going to be Jessica Jones. Right now, she's just playing an art student in college.
Oh, well, I also started in Breaking Bad first.
Oh, yeah. That's
as Jesse's girlfriend.
Yeah, that's probably where people are going to point to her most.
Yeah, definitely. So either way, that is actually coming 2015, confirmed from Netflix.
That's awesome, because I was wondering, are they going to spread these 4 shows out over 4 years? That's pretty far. So
yeah, I think if they try to spread out 4 years, that would definitely interfere with the Phase 3, and then try to do Defenders in the 5th year. That would just be horrible. Yeah. But it's definitely coming 2015. Starts filming next month, February.
Excellent.
All right, Luke Cage has already been cast. Mike Coulter from the Halo Nightfall series. He is playing Luke Cage, and Netflix updated the definitions, or I guess the descriptions of each show. So you can go to netflix.com and type in Luke Cage, and it will tell you that in this Marvel live-action series, a street-fighting ex-con battles crime in New York's Hell's Kitchen as a superhero Luke Cage. Okay, Luke Cage premieres in A.K.A. Jessica Jones this fall. In the comics, they kind of have a thing and end up having a baby, and, that whole love story. So he's going to premiere there but get his own show. This description matches up with what we know of him in the comics.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of they're saving, I wouldn't say the best for last, but they're gonna start this book in with Daredevil, and they're gonna end it with something that I think is gonna be really cool. Hopefully they get a really awesome person to helmet Iron Fist.
Iron Fist is definitely something I'm excited for, because Marvel has, in Phase 2, they've taken, movie tropes that we know and then added a superhero twist to them. Civil War, Captain America, the Winter Soldier is a political thriller, right? Then you add in S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America. Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a space opera kind of thing, added in Marvel characters. So I think A.K.A. Jessica Jones, to jump back to that, is a kind of a crime drama with a superhero. Iron Fist, this is the biggest possibility, a martial arts series.
Ooh, yeah, that would be so cool.
Take kung fu films and TV series and inject that with a superhero of Iron Fist, where it follows superhero and martial arts master Danny Rand in the upcoming live action series. That's what Netflix says. Great. I'm excited. I hope they cast someone great to do that, and it's not wire fu. I hope it's real kung fu.
Oh yeah, I hope it is too. Iron Fist is pretty cool too, because he kind of, out of all these characters, he's probably the only one that has a little bit of, mythology, like a little bit of magic to him. He's the only one that's not so grounded in reality.
And it's funny, if he's the last one, guess what movie comes out about the same time Iron Fist should?
I don't know. What could it possibly be?
It'll be a strange film. Doctor Strange. Oh, I ruined it. I couldn't hold it. So Doctor Strange, magic base. Iron Fist, magic mystical base from the comics. Now they could definitely change that in the show. But if so, they're coming out around the same time. Great timing. Go do it, Marvel.
Yeah, well, and that leads into what they're all coming into, which is we really don't have too much information about it yet, and that would be the Defenders. Right.
All 4 shows will presumably have this larger overarching story, kind of like Phase 1 Marvel had the Tesseract. And the Defenders these shows will have something that leads into them teaming up in the Defenders and an epic superhero team up in New York City. Probably the street level New York City, not taking on alien armies as they come through a portal.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, is this going to be mini series? Is this going to be how many episodes? Are we going to go a whole 13 episodes, a whole full half season, however you look at it, or are we going to get maybe 3 or 4 episodes? Either way, I'm going to be happy because this is awesome.
Yep, I've heard it's 2 to 4 episodes, just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
But that's pure rumor. They could decide it needs to be longer if it's that awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah, I want to know how it goes down.
Get your Netflix subscriptions now because you want to watch these shows.
Or borrow your friend's password.
Yeah, that too. So, great. Go Netflix.
Yeah.
So, I want to cover some rumors. Normally, I don't think we'll cover too many rumors because that's just not as fun. Last week we talked about one. This week we're going to talk about another. Rumors. Spider-Man is coming back to Marvel in 2018.
Oh, God. That's all I saw this week. All the social media networks, just everyone, and just some people just coming up to me like, oh, did you know that Spider-Man's going to be in Infinity War? And I was just, hey, just chill out. It's just a rumor.
Exactly. And that's something, Spider-Man is a cultural phenomenon. And it's a sad testament that to say Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a piss poor movie. But it's great, once the rumors from the Sony hack said, Marvel and Sony were talking about Spider-Man coming back to Marvel. That was great news. Everyone got hopped on that, right? Jumped on it. And Sony, I think, would be stupid not to. But the biggest rumor now is it confirmed. The rumor says that this will happen. that Spider-Man will be joining the Avengers Infinity War Part 1
Yeah,
in 2018.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit too soon. I mean, if you really look at it from overarching just what's going on already, I mean, we're supposed to still be getting more Sony Spider-Man movies. They haven't said that they're not going to be making the Sinister Six movie. They haven't been saying that they're not going to be making a possible female lead movie. Everything is still on the table as far as we can hear. You know, we don't have any rumors of, oh, they're not making any more Spider-Man movies. So I think that needs to come first before we can expect Spider-Man showing up at Marvel.
And I agree. But at the same time, maybe Sony didn't sell Spider-Man back. I think maybe it's a team up. Like, oh, hey, Marvel, you can use Spider-Man if we get some odd percent of the profits, and we get to make these other non-Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a win-win for everybody. Sony gets their Sinister Six because Marvel, to use the Sinister Six would be kind of meh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man appearing in Infinity War wouldn't put their Phase 3 movies out of whack because then they could introduce him as a Phase 4 character post Infinity War. Yeah. I think Spider-Man after Thanos attacks the Earth would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, like I think I've told you this before. I'd love to see the secret ending, the ending they put after the credits of Infinity War Part 2. I'd love to see like a little glimpse of Spider-Man. I think that'd be an awesome way to close out Phase 3. Because they're using so many big characters for these Phase movies. No one really knows the future of them. We don't know if we're going to be getting any more Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man after Phase 3. They really, really could use the injection of Spider-Man to really like bring home Phase 4.
And the best part is if they introduce him in Infinity War, they won't have to do an origin story because everybody knows how Spider-Man came to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think it'd be great for everybody, honestly. And that's me. I hope this rumor comes true.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Too soon to tell. But
what do you want it back there, Mike? Do you want Sony to have them, or do you want Marvel to have them?
Honestly, I think it's been great that Spider-Man hasn't been at Marvel for these past couple of years because if they did, we probably wouldn't be getting a Black Panther movie. We may not be getting a Doctor Strange movie. So, I'm not butthurt or anything that we're not getting, a Marvel Spider-Man movie. I think eventually we will get it. So, why not just take a chill pill, maybe a couple of years down the line, maybe when the superhero movies aren't as good anymore, maybe they peter out in the future, but maybe when that starts to peter out, we bring back a really awesome Spider-Man movie, then we can just start going again, and I can just get a lifelong span of awesome superhero movies.
Would you say they Peter Parker out?
Oh, God.
You set yourself up. I just want to let you know that.
That was a good one.
And, I think Phase 4 would be a good time to introduce Spider-Man from Marvel. I don't think I think you're right. Like if we think of the past, yeah, being at Sony's helped Marvel, but again, you're talking about where contracts are up with all these Marvel stars, and like some of them, like we want to do it. Some want bigger paychecks. Some don't want to do it, and I think that I think you're right. It's helped them, and I think it will help them going forward. So let's cross our fingers.
Yeah, definitely cross the fingers.
Yeah. You said we were talking earlier, and you said you had some information regarding last week's Batman Superman rumor.
Oh yeah. So we talked about the rumor that we might get these movies split in half, but then I think literally like a day later, some reporter went up to Henry Cavill, asked him about it. I mean, obviously he's just an actor, so he doesn't necessarily have all the goods, but he said that there's no two parts, it's not being split. So I think that rumor that wasn't really valid to start with just got even less valid.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear an actor's take on things. Like I like to think that they're in the know, but at the same time, I also know how studios like to inject themselves, and if WB and DC had this big universe planned out, who knows? I still think the Enter the Night is a promotional thing, getting people psyched for Batman versus Superman. I don't think it's a movie. I think it's something promotional.
I think it's safe to say that we could put this rumor to bed. If we get any more substantial information, we'll let you know, but just go ahead and assume you're going to be getting Batman Superman in one movie next year.
And if we get it any sooner, better for us.
Yeah. But let's see here. We got a little bit more DC news we can talk about.
Yeah, normally I don't cover a lot of DC news. You know, my allegiance lies to Marvel. But with the Suicide Squad movie coming out right after Batman vs. Superman, that's the second one of the DC shared universe. Tom Hardy dropped out of the movie, like one of the bigger actors in there. He's supposed to play Rick Flag. I don't know who Rick Flag is, but he dropped out, and they're talking to get Jake Gyllenhaal to replace him.
Yeah, you know, I think it's fine for people to start talking about this. We don't have too much information coming out with these DC movies. It's just kind of more here and there. You know, we're not getting any trailers yet, so we're trying to cling on to whatever we have. But I really don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, Tom Hardy, you know, he would have been fine as Jack Flag, but I mean, it doesn't really bust my balls. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is great. He stole my heart the first time I saw him in October Sky, so bring him on. Bring Jake Gyllenhaal and I'll be super happy.
I honestly, you struck me more as a Brokeback Mountain kind of guy, so that October Sky reference, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, Suicide Squad, it starts filming in April. So I'm glad we're getting a little bit of news before that filming starts.
And I think that movie's going to be awesome too.
It's going to be different. I'll tell you that right now. It'll be different. You said you had Ghost in the Shell. Apparently, that's a movie I have yet to see, and I'm disappointed in myself for not seeing it yet.
Oh well, I mean it makes sense that you may have not have seen it. I mean, it's a little bit of an older anime movie back in '89. But since then, it's really taken off over there. Japan has really held to the franchise. There's been several TV series with it. There's been, I remember a classic PlayStation 1 game, Ghost in the Shell game that I picked up on. So I think it'll be cool. I think it's good to bring up that it's going to be a movie because we're going to be getting Scarlett Johansson as the lead. She seems to be positioning her career as like the female action hero, which I think is pretty cool. The story, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically just artificial intelligence in the future. You know, the character that she's going to be playing is more than likely going to be some sort of a cybernetic enhanced person, or she might be a total cyborg robot, however you want to put the terminology in. But it's basically going to be some sort of crime drama, crime thriller around artificial intelligence, and I think that'll be super cool. So I'm looking forward to this movie. So put that one on your radar for 2017.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's great. I mean, honestly, Scarlett Johansson had two really crazy sci-fi action movies this year anyway, with Under the Skin and what was the other one there she did? Lucy.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, she's starting to step into that sci-fi action series role, like you said. And it's so, like, you know, Ghost in the Shell, you know, that came out, 1989? And it's a remake of it, I guess. So we'll see how they kind of adapt that for today's world.
Yeah, we'll
89 was definitely different. I'll definitely get on that film and watch it. It's on my to-watch list. So that and Akira. So I'll put some animes on in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, those are definitely be entertaining.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'm going to add here for the last bit of news for the day is Avatar 2 has been delayed a year.
Oh, boy.
I know, we sound so disappointed, don't we?
Please tell me about it. Please tell me.
Avatar 2 is a sequel to James Cameron's Avatar 1, which was essentially, you know, Pocahontas or Fern Gully or whatever other
whatever
reference.
Put it.
Yeah, so they're supposed to come out December 2016, and then each year was Avatar 2, 3, and 4. Right? That's a lot of sequels. And they're going to make them all back-to-back. So they pushed back the Avatar 2 to December 2017, one full year, because they're reworking the scripts, because they're writing all three at once.
Yeah, and you want to get as far away as possible from Star Wars.
Oh, don't you ever. Like, let's release Avatar, like, you know, one of the world's biggest grossing movies, next to Star Wars 7, which could knock us out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they'll do that. But again, you know, Star Wars, those spin-off movies or standalone films, could definitely come out the next December as well. and pose an even bigger threat.
Do you think, as I do, that maybe these Avatar movies are just a little too late? We've been so detached from that first movie.
I honestly think Avatar is definitely out of our league. Now, I honestly didn't enjoy the first one as much as everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely get up and go to the bathroom during movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I went twice during that one.
And just weren't even worried about missing anything.
No, I wasn't. And the thing is, it was great for technology. Film technology progressed so much there.
Uh-huh.
But it lacked character and an original story, which I hope maybe these next 3 can solve for us.
Uh-huh.
But if it's just, oh, hey, look how we can make technology look more advanced, I'm off. I'm out.
Yeah. I think it's just too little too late. I think we're too detached from the original movie already. It's been I can't even remember how many years.
2009.
2000
to the 9.
Oh, jeez, that's gonna be like eight years.
Well,
wait, 8 years. Well,
yeah,
depending
8 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
depending on how much longer it gets pushed back. But I'll try not to be too sour on it. James Cameron did some really cool leaps forward with technology making the first one. Maybe he's just trying to do the same thing with the next one. We'll have to wait and see.
To be frank, though, Terminator 1 came out in 84 and Terminator 2 came out in 92.
Yeah, but that was back then. That was back in the 80s where people had things to do outside of watching TVs and movies. I want my stuff every year now. I need stuff every year.
It's true, but to think Terminator 2 is held up as a better film than Terminator 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both James Cameron films, so maybe he could deliver us a better sequel.
We'll just have to see. He's probably gotten lots of feedback. We obviously won't be getting another Pocahontas movie, hopefully, so we'll get something else. Something new, at least.
Yeah, we'll knock on wood on that one.
Yeah, but I think that's a crazy jam-packed week of news. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully next week's a little lighter. But we're gonna end this show with some fun bits. Since we got a few minutes here, we talked last week about our top, bottom, and 5 movies of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you, Mike, because you're a Spider-Man fan.
Yes.
To me, you've been the Spider-Man guy.
Uh-huh.
And I used to be until I started reading comics, learned about more characters.
Uh-huh.
But I want to know, who is your dream Spider-Man casting if they recast Spider-Man?
You know what? I can't really tell you who I think is going to be the best Spider-Man, because honestly, I want it to be someone I've never heard of before. I think if they're going to be bringing us a brand new Spider-Man in a brand new universe, a brand new studio, I just want it to be someone just with a totally blank slate, coming in with no preconceived notions. Maybe pick a guy who is a supporting character in a TV show or something like that. Heck, maybe find someone that was on Broadway. Just give someone a time to shine in this suit that we don't really know who it is. Marvel has been doing a great job of just creating awesome actors, creating awesome directors. I trust them. Pluck someone brand new, fresh off the vine, and I'll be ready for that. That's what I want to see.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually answer, because I thought about this question earlier this week, whenever the news popped, and I honestly want to see Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man,
Okay.
become a character. Not from the cartoon Ultimate Spider-Man, but from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. They have a chance to deliver us Miles Morales. He's half black, half Hispanic descent.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that series is one of the greatest series ever.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of uproar when that happened in the Ultimate Universe, when they actually killed Peter Parker and replaced him with this one. But he didn't really replace him. He has a different suit. He has different abilities. He's had different experiences. He lost his mother fighting Venom rather than losing Uncle Ben from a robber.
Mm-hmm.
So there's little parallels, but I think if Marvel wants to really shine and show we can do great stories, Miles Morales is the way to go.
Okay. You know what? It would be cool if they're really trying to build another phase over at Marvel over a couple years. Give us maybe give us 3 brand new Spider-Man movies, and maybe in the third one, maybe do the dastardly deed of killing Peter and bringing in Miles, and then getting maybe 2 or 3 more brand new Spider-Man movies. You could get 6 movies out of these characters.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be very bold if a movie universe tackled the idea of multiple universes itself. Not Bizarro Superman per se, like that, but like the Ultimate Universe is what I read, and I think their versions of the characters are really great modern takes on them compared to their alternate takes. But I think it would be bold, like, oh, we have different universes existing, so where there's this Iron Man and this Iron Man and then another Iron Man, they're all different. And I think that'd be ballsy, and maybe they could do that. I don't know. Phase 4, it's in your court, Marvel. Yeah. Listen to our podcast.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. So I think what they can take away from this is make it Miles Morales and then pick someone we have no idea who it is.
Exactly. And lastly, we're both big movie guys. We like it. You're out in LA. You're a little closer to the action than I am. But the Oscar nominations were announced this week.
Yes, they were. And the biggest snub making me super angry is where's the nomination for the Lego movie?
Tell me about it, Mike.
I mean, so we get a little bit, they're obviously giving them a little bit with a nomination for Best Original Song for Everything Is Awesome. But, out of context, no one, it's not going to get the nomination. I'm starting to get the feeling that a lot of the people that are in the Academy that votes for these things didn't even sit down and watch this movie, because how on earth do you not put this as one of the best animated movies? I think it's one of the best movies of last year, honestly. It was original. It was hilarious. Not only was it animated, it wasn't just typically computer animated with nice and polish. They animated individual blocks. Every single building that you see in this movie was actually built in some sort of generated Lego 3D builder. This was like a stop motion Lego movie without having to put 20 years into making it. I think this was an amazing movie. It's dumb that it didn't get the nomination, but at the same time, it's just a bunch of old fuddy-duddies voting on this stuff. So I have a feeling that when they set out to make the Lego movie, they were never expecting to make it into the Oscars. So I'm sure they're not too butthurt about it. So I'm trying not to be butthurt about it either.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I watched it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a kid's movie or a product placement movie for an hour and a half, and I came out thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed it, and we're a show about superheroes, right? I'm a big Marvel fan. Big Hero 6 got a nomination, right? In animated. Big Hero 6 is not that good. I'm going to be frank with you. It's not a bad film, but I'm not going to go write home about it and tell people, hey, you should watch this. This is going to change your life. Lego Movie, it's a family film. It speaks to the young generation. It speaks to the older generation. And it definitely outshined the other 5 animated movies. And it is a shame that it's not there. I would agree with you entirely. It should at least got an animated nomination. Maybe not best film nomination overall, but definitely an animated nomination.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball over there. It got the Golden Globe nomination, so I guess they can take that home with them. But they should have at least won the Golden Globe.
I just think it goes to show how irrelevant the Academy Awards are really becoming.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of go to like maybe an Oscar party and kind of make a little bit of a wager, but I don't think really the Academy is that much of a selling point. The whole reason these people want to win the awards is to be recognized, but at the same time, the studios just want to release a new version of the DVD box art with the award-winning emblem on it.
Yeah, the only movie I know I've seen that's nominated for Best Film is Grand Budapest Hotel, and I've preached that movie all year since I saw it in April. It's my favorite film of the year.
Yeah, actually, you posted up a bit of news that this movie was like $6 at one point this week. Apparently, that sale ended very quickly because I went to go take advantage of it yesterday. And it was over. It was back up to $12, which still isn't that bad for a Blu-ray at Best Buy. But I was like, man, I was hoping I could snag it at $6. And I think it sold out at a lot of places around the city because I went to check the inventory at some stores and I was like, oh, I got to drive that far to get this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And they also released it back in theaters this weekend, just in select theaters. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I really got to get up on that movie. I love
Yeah.
Wes Anderson, so it's a shame that I've waited this long to see it.
It definitely.
I believe it came out nearly a year ago. I want to say February.
It was April for the wide release. That I know
okay.
of. March for the limited release.
Oh, okay.
But it was awesome. I love it. If you haven't seen Grand Budapest Hotel, this is my plug for it.
Oh, well, I'll definitely check it out. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's all we got for you today. Podcast number 2 in the can.
Yeah, I hope you guys liked it. We should be getting a nice customized, actual, original content intro for our show soon, and that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully, episode 3, we can start it off with a cool little jam, cool little ditty.
Yeah, we've got our Facebook up and going. We've got our YouTube page up and going. You got superheroslate.com up and going. You can subscribe to us on iTunes now. We're legit.
Yeah, we're everywhere. I recommend, in the meantime, waiting for the next juicy episode of the Superhero Slate, you should catch up with us online. Where can people find you, Chris?
You can find me at Valdan on Twitter. VALDAN. You can follow me on there. You can find me on comicui.com, writing all the articles, keeping up with your news and your rumors, and maybe some reviews. Follow me on Superhero Slate, but Nerd Traffic, where I've been kind of covering some more technology stuff lately.
Okay.
So definitely hit me up on either of those sites.
Well, awesome. Well, you can check me out at Mike Royer Design. I'm up on Instagram. I'm up on Twitter. Just check me out. Hopefully I'll be putting a new comic out at pickledcomics.com soon. Came up with a pretty good idea today. Sketched it out, so maybe we can get something out there. Update that site
sweet.
pretty soon. But yeah, this was fun. It's awesome talking.
Before we end it, who's your 365 face for today, Mike?
Ooh, it's probably it's a little bit of a somber note. We lost our pet rat Marvin this weekend. He was about 2 years old. He's the sweetest little thing. I would say if you've never had a pet rat before, you should definitely go get one. They all have very unique personalities. Get over your weird little fear you have of their tail, because like our vet said today, if rats had bushy tails like squirrels, everyone would have a pet rat because they're awesome. So I'll probably draw a little face to memorialize him today. But yeah, you can check me out. I'm drawing every day.
Yeah, well, sorry to hear for your loss, Mike. But
I got 3 more rats to keep me company, so I'm just gonna roll around on the floor with them.
Well, they'll enjoy that. So thanks so much for listening to our show.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Bye bye.
See ya.